NOS4A22, Book 2, Trust No One, Chapter 16, As the Sun Rose. As the sun rose on that day, Cammy and Stu would begin to fight a hard battle. But before that time came, which seemed prolonged, same as their life's suffering, they had this morning in darkness to share and reflect on their lives, when they first became cursed by their very own parents. By having these special reflections during these telepathic conversations, their neuroplasticity was being performed. They were stimulated in a way they had never before experienced. And so the simulation did special things by their connections to restructure their brains after the damage had been worn away. Stewart began to tell his story of what his experience was like in Cammy's home, which was a meeting place for the worshippers of Satan, who did the most evil things imaginable. Here is the explanation from Stewart as he recalls. We all sat around that table with the weird detailed pentagram, and I studied the things I had seen within that strange work. I followed with my eyes the pattern within the lines, and there were things that looked like golden intestines and veins within those borders of the golden five-pointed star. The black in between the designs seemed to be a blackness like outer space void that went deep into the tabletop. Your dad made the comment to me about how it was designed to give an illusion. I thought it was hypnotizing me, but I guess it wasn't really because it just scared me. Do you remember feeling that way? Stu asked Cammy to break the constant talking he was doing. Yes, I do. I also remember my dad telling you about the table art. I'm glad you remember. That amazes me. So I remember everything that first night. Those people came out with their long black robes and hoods that covered their faces as they looked down at the ground. As they came out from those balcony doors, they walked down those curved stairways. I remember wondering what they were doing, and then became startled to see they were bloody. I couldn't see the blood until they got close to the table, because the blood was all over their black robes. It was shiny and wet, and looked like it got poured on them. The blood stains were very thick and saturated the bottoms of their robes. What was that made their robes so wet with blood around their bottom halves? Stewart asked Cammy to see if she knew, because he had a feeling she would know why. That was because there were huge golden bowls up there on those balconies. The bowls looked like kiddie pools, but they were kept full with children's blood, mixed with the blood of virgins and infants' blood, along with their sacrificed mother's blood. These were always kept full outside on the balconies to let the moonlight illuminate the blood and enrich it with the cosmic powers of the moonlight through the rays that it gives. The druids soaked their feet and wet their robes to gather the power to manipulate reality as they would see fit. It gave them powers to basically do whatever they wanted, as long as it was evil, Cammy confessed. I just knew you were going to say something like that. I just knew it. Okay, so I remember them gathering around the table, and they went to stand behind every family. Then they began singing that weird song in a language I couldn't recognize. It sounded like mumbo-jumbo to my kid ears, plus they were beginning the song in a deep bellowing. Then it ended with them angrily shouting the lyrics reminiscent of a scolding parent. Stewart stopped as Cammy explained what that was about. Yes, they were singing the Hymn of Sacrifice, Cammy simply stated. What a horrible song title. The Hymn of Sacrifice, huh? Of course it was the Hymn of Sacrifice. God damn. Okay, so then I remember them abruptly stopping and everything was silent for an exaggerated time until your mother raised her head quickly to shout. She yelled as she called for someone to bring the bell, and that one big, huge, tall guy came out of those kitchen double doors, rolling that big church bell on wagon wheels hung on top of what looked like a catapult mixed with a guillotine. He stopped and grabbed that big, gigantic Q-tip looking thing, kinda resembling a torch, but I could tell it was heavy like a sledgehammer. He struck that bell, and it made the most awful sound, like a distorted ring that went right through me. It even made my parents both jump out of their skin at the same time it got struck, Stewart recalled. Yeah, I remember that. Everyone jumped up and their butts lifted off their seat. Every butt but mine. Ha ha, I was used to it, Cammy couldn't help but say. What a terrible place to be used to. Like I'm one to talk inheriting a devil worshipper's funeral home, Stu said as he was about to go into more detail of that evening, but Cammy had something to say. Yeah, we're two peas and one rotten-ass pod. Ha! I remembered that night well, and I'm surprised since every night was more of the same. Like I told you, though, your parents' occupation description stuck out to me. I remember your look on your face as those robed men, the druids, grabbed your hand along with all the other kids and pulled us away from our parents. Your chair got knocked over and flew to the ground. You looked at your parents with disgust, and I felt it so strongly. I never got to talk to you because we each had our own rooms and were not allowed to talk to the other families. I remember your face, though. You had a nice face, though. What did you do? Why did you do that to your face? Cammy finally flat out asked. I carved my face because I felt like that on the inside. I wanted to give myself the face I felt like was really there. I know now that it was the face that haunts me. It always haunted me and showed up every time I looked in the mirror, long before I began modifying my flesh. Do you know what? It started in your house. Stewart startled himself. What started in my house? Seeing your demon in your reflection? Cammy knew the answer but still asked. Yes, you knew. Did you ever see anything in your reflection? Any demons? Stu innocently asked her. No, I saw something else. Cammy paused. Are you sure? So, you knew I saw my demons, and you're telling me that you never saw yours when you looked in those magic mirrors in your house? Stewart pressed her. I saw my demons in the mirror one time just like you. One time. But I saw my parents in the mirror. They are my demons. Not distorted faces like what you saw. Mine were much more evil because the demons I saw weren't just one or two. My parents held all the evil power of every demon combined. Cammy cryptically swore. That's deep. Stu took a big breath in his flesh and blood body. You could say that. Please tell me what you remember, all that you can. I have a feeling we have some time to do all the talking we need to amongst ourselves. I was thinking it made sense that we would be granted this time so that our hearts can be judged. Also, it will allow the chemicals in our systems to do their job. I just feel it in my bones that Lamb will only send those last destroyers to us at the last minute. My spirit tells me, can you feel it? Cammy honestly asked. Yes, I feel that. It has been put in our minds for a reason. This is not to deceive us, but to prepare us for our one and only chance, one last and final chance for redemption, to escape the lake of eternal burning fire. The approaching demons might come as the sun rises, or they might not be here until the sun sets on this, our final day in the flesh. Only time will tell, but time is of no concern for us anymore. We know what we must do when the time comes. I think it will come down to us having to show Lamb that we aren't afraid of taking our own lives, to provoke him to order a fight to prevent us from doing so. And if we make them kill us in the process, this is our best chance to escape the chemical death that will send us to the most terrible fate. The chemical death approaches the same as those demons. I know they will arrive the moment when the chemicals have just about run their course. Also, I must say that this provoking will help us prevent that other terrible fate of becoming a wandering soul for an ungodly amount of time, being trapped with our parents who have escaped the lake of fire, at least for now. I have a feeling if we take our own lives deliberately, then our parents will do their best to pull us down into the lake of fire once that day of final judgment comes. I won't let that happen to you, Cammy. My heart and my love won't let that happen. Stuart exploded with pure emotion. We've got to make it look convincing to Lamb and those demons once they approach. We got to really make it look like we are killing ourselves, even if it means almost going through with it. Let's do it as soon as they're close to us. We just need to find a way in our spirit bodies to physically manifest in the spirit a means to take our own lives. Cammy stated this most important conundrum they were facing between worlds of their separated existence. Thanks for reminding me of this most crucial problem that lies before us. We must find a way. I think once we are able to touch or be touched by the approaching demons, this will help us find a way to feel with our flesh and blood bodies, because I know that if those demons are next to us in the spiritual dark realm, well, that means they most surely are next to our bodies in the waking world. So, what we have to do is not let them escape our touch once they get close. It will be quite the struggle as we attempt to wrestle with the demons of our last breath. With Cammy's help, Stuart realized what they must do. I am so thankful for you, Stu, and I feel your gratefulness to know me. This is the best day of my life. Now that we know what's going on as well as what we must do, we can finally have this time in our last moments some peace of mind for the first time in our lives. Now please, let's share our memories of that month in my family home and what made us who we are today up to this moment. Cammy was lit up with grace and love as it emanated through her spirit body, making Stuart's spirit body absorb her loving light, and they grew in spiritual strength, strengthening their souls more than they ever had been before by far. Okay, I love you, Cammy. I love you so much, Stuart. How amazing. Cammy took this moment in, feeling euphoric bliss beyond any high. Remember those druids taking us in those rooms? I know you experience it every night, right? I know you experienced it every night, right? Stuart imagined. You know it, Cammy confirmed. Well, you know what they did. That man in the bloody black robe took off his clothes, stripped me down, and took the robe he was wearing as he held it gently but firmly in his hands with purpose and focus. The bloody soaked bottom end of the robe that was covered around his feet. He wiped it over my face and wiped down my body from head to toe. The blood was all over me. That's how soaked that robe was, Stewart said with little tone change in his telepathic voice within Cammie's mind as they shared their minds that had become one. Yes, I wish I could forget that routine. They did that to me every night of my entire life until the night I escaped. Then I went to the United States. They had their people catch me, though, right away, and brought me right back. I must tell you something now, Stewart. You thought you were seeing me in the flesh since I met you at your house, but really, it was a chemical ritual that I was performing in my parents' house, where you were with your parents. I am still surprised I met you in the drug-induced experience, but that was where the drugs sent me. The angel dust and the chemicals you took were the same ones I was taking. When you told me you ordered drugs from the deep dark web, well, I already knew because they were from my parents' people. I didn't know they were being sent to you, though, until I met you in our shared spiritual trip that we have been having since. Somehow, my spirit attached to yours, even though my body was in my home where I grew up and had always been. The converging of our spirits sent my body back to you, and it was a masturbation ritual that brought forth teleportation through the meditation of my deepest desire. When we were in the shared trip experience, first engaging in our sexual fantasy, it became real because our spirits both wanted the same exact thing. I was in reality meditating on these thoughts, performing a satanic ritual, but focusing on breaking the evil spell that my parents had used to put a hold on me. This broke the spell and sent me to you from our pure intentions of instant love. We were without a doubt made for each other, and I wanted you to know just how truly special our meeting was. If you didn't already know, now you really know. Cammie hit him with the amazing fact of the entire truth that was only then the right and perfect time for him to absorb. So you knew me, what you wanted, but with no person. So you knew, like me, what you wanted, but with no person in mind. You were doing chemical rituals on top of masturbation rituals, the same as I was doing, basically. And in our shared experiences, it brought you there with me in the dark spiritual realm. I don't know what was real and what wasn't anymore, or at what time. What if you have been in your England home the whole time, even now? No, that can't be possible because of our experiences waking sober. We went on those real flesh and blood adventures together, meeting people to pick up bodies and everything. All of those things couldn't have been an illusion, could they? Stu was scrambling his thoughts. I guess anything is possible, but when I die, I don't think I'll suddenly realize that I'm in my England home. Maybe Lamb and the demons will try to make it seem so, to tear us down mentally, and I'm glad you bring this up now. We need to properly analyze every possible tactic they are capable of using against us. Thank you for helping me come up with the conclusion that, without a doubt, I teleported to be with you in the flesh. I knew it was possible from what I had learned growing up in that home. It is the one good thing I learned, and it helped me successfully escape after being caught. When they caught me before, I thought it would never be possible to escape them indefinitely. I know they are trying now to destroy us, but it won't work. Look how strong our love is. They know it is unbreakable. Cammy kept growing in strength through their most intense love. Nothing else matters, does it? I mean, talking about that month when I was there at your house, Stuart humbly asked. That's right. None of it matters. I only will tell you that my life, as you know, was filled with despicable things about which I would rather not talk. You know, though, and I know enough about your unfortunate life. We know all we need to know now. Any time the sun will rise. Are you getting glimpses of reality too? Cammy asked with some slight sense of excitement. I thought I did. I thought that's what's happening. This is fantastic. I wonder if it will be flickering too much soon, though. I'm imagining if we will seem to be flashing back and forth from the spirit world to three-dimensional reality soon. That could be another nightmare altogether. Stu didn't seem too concerned. Yeah, this is a very real possibility. Something like that will be very difficult to deal with, even if there weren't approaching demons to deal with. Cammy said as if she was trying to make a joke out of it all. That's actually hilarious, Stu said with zero expression of emotion. Alright, Stuart, we should focus on looking at the real world if we are able to break through, Cammy suggested as a sound voice of reason. Good point. We should really try to focus on breaking through this trip. We can totally do this. Just a while ago it seemed impossible, but after the breakthroughs we've already achieved, I know we can easily accomplish this. Stuart encouraged like never before. That's right, thank you. We've got to meditate like we've never meditated before. Keep thinking of where we're at. We're in the forest. I'm going to put my hands out as I take baby steps, hoping to feel a tree or a branch or something. Cammy was on the right track. You're onto something yet again, Cammy. You're amazing. Stu was really impressed. The sun came up on their final day as they could look on the bright side of life finally, for once.